So I am Nadine White, Dr. Nadine White of The Sophisticated Life. That's the name of my blog that covers travel, food, and wine. But I am here today as a founding member and board member of the Black Travel Alliance. We were founded in the summer of 2022. So we're going on our second year. This summer will be 2 years. Yay! I'm so excited that we have accomplished so much in the short time that we have been around. We were created to increase diversity in the travel industry, particularly for Black travel content creators, to increase opportunities for Black travel content creators. And we have done a great job of that, I think. Hey, hi, Scott.
Hi.
How are you? Thanks for joining us again today. I was just giving a quick background about Black Travel Alliance. And so part of the way that we've tried to increase opportunities is for Black travel content creators is to increase education. And we've been doing events and webinars and really trying to up the game for our travel content creators. And so one of our events is this one, which we're really excited about. And we've been approached by so many great companies, and one is Meta. And so as we know, Instagram is huge for influencers, and a lot of us do reels. And if you're like me, half the time I don't know what exactly I'm doing. I'm just doing it. Brands really want you to do Instagram stories, Instagram feed content, Instagram reels. And so it's really important for you to know how to do this and do this correctly. And so we're really excited when Meta approached us about doing these reel schools with our content creators. And we decided to do 3 of these because we wanted to be intimate sessions so that you have a chance to really ask questions. Yesterday, we had a blast with Scott because we were able to make these reels in real life. And so we're excited that you guys are here. Thank you for filling out your membership directory. We only sent these invitations to people who have been active and filled out their membership directory. So thank you for doing that. And here is Scott from Meta. And I want him to kind of, oh, we lost you a little bit, Scott.
You know what? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay, I know we were having this issue yesterday. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to refresh. 1 second.
Okay. So Scott is the head of travel of the creative shop at Meta. And he was here, like I said, with us yesterday, and he's going to be here today and tomorrow. So they're doing 3 days with us, which is just unbelievable. So we're really, really grateful. It's such a amazing opportunity for our content creators with Black Travel Alliance. And so thank you, Scott. I can see you and hear you.
Yay. Okay. So just call out if I turn into a gray box.
Okay.
Because Tamika knows we were having some issues on my end. Okay.
No problem.
Thank you. First of all, we did have a blast, Nadine, yesterday. It was so fun. And so I just want to say a couple things before we get started. I'm going to share a deck that's kind of an overview. Again, I'm sure there's a spectrum from people who like use reels and on this call and are way better than I am at it. And then there's a spectrum of, intro that have kind of used it, but use one certain aspect. The goal here is not to figure it all out. We're all learning together, but I think I'm going to give you an overview of sort of like what we're seeing on the platform, a few examples of inspiration, and then we're just going to have fun. Like we're just going to play. I've got a few things that we're going to walk through that are hopefully going to unlock some things, but as we learn from yesterday, like if you have an idea and you just kind of start playing and then somebody goes, oh, you know what, you can do this, this, and this, and it sort of builds from there. And then hopefully we can even have, Tamiko mentioned we might even have like a follow-up session to like share out some fun reels and talk some more. The other thing that was really valuable from yesterday is using the chat for questions. Like I may not be able to answer them today, but I have access to a lot of different groups internally that might be able to. And we had an amazing discovery yesterday that a lot of us can't use the slowdown feature in post-production. So that was a big aha. So for us, so all of these things, even just like hearing from the team yesterday that a lot of people don't use effects because they feel like they hurt, the views that they get. And that's a meme. And it's just interesting.
All the myths.
I mean, there's a reason. There's obviously a reason. So like if we surface those things. We can dig into them and like come back to you with like potential responses, or even potentially even change the product in some way to help make it better. So that's why we're here. I'm here to hear from you. I'm learning just as much from talking to you all today, as hopefully you learn from me. So I'm going to share my screen. A little bit about,
Go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say a little bit about my role at Creative, what we call Creative Shop. So I work at Meta, which is really hard to say because I was like at Instagram most of the time. It's hard to, it's like writing 2022 on your checkbook. It's like it's taking a while. But yeah, I work at Meta. And so I've been here 6 years. I started out exclusively on Instagram. And our role, and another great opportunity for all of us connecting, is that what I do every day, specifically within the travel industry, is I work with 30 plus clients from, you know, Marriott to Uber to Airbnb to Expedia, Vrbo, all those. And we're trying to educate them on our platform, but also push the potential of what we can do with the technology, with the communities, with the insights. And we spend a lot of time educating that group, but we spend very little time communicating and connecting with the core communities that are creating the platform. So really this is our goal is for this to continue. I think we have 4 or 5 of these slated, like different themes slated for the year. Like, I just want this to be an ongoing conversation, because we obviously need to continue to build, and creators is a huge aspect of Real. It's also a huge aspect of what Meta is doing. So again, my goal is to like educate on like, hey, here's the best way to unlock a performance campaign, but also let's play with Spark AR and do interesting things with sort of, you know, where the metaverse is going. So that's what my background is advertising. I worked as a creative director for a lot of years at different companies, different agencies. And so just an overview on me, but I will start.
Yes, I'm going to let you do your thing. So I'm going to leave here.
Okay, great. I'm assuming everyone can see. If you can't, I can't see you guys, so I'm just gonna go. So let's, and again, if I stop at any point or there's a weirdness, just I usually can hear y'all. So hop on and tell me, Scott, we can't see your presentation, but if we're good to go, I'll get into it. Real School is literally something that we started a while back. We did the same thing for Instagram Stories when Instagram Stories came out, and really it's just more of an active, you know, presentation plus education around Reels, because, you know, we know it's new. We know it's, I would say, like, there's been a lot of improvements on the actual interface and how it works. Early on, we were getting a lot of feedback that was super complicated, and hopefully today we'll make it less complicated, but also unlock sort of the new. It's, you know, again, I will say this, like, the reality is we know this behavior started on TikTok, right? This idea of like short form videos where you're at the stage and it's, you know, really entertaining, really fun, embracing just different, you know, backgrounds and different things. So the behavior existed, real form, because of TikTok, but it is a new experience for us. And I think the biggest distinction that I would make between what sort of like Instagram, where Instagram still, you know, is super powerful, is a lot of what I hear from creators that are on TikTok is, you know, discovery, or even any platform really, but especially TikTok, like the discovery aspect is so robust. So the opportunity to like get discovered, get likes, get views is there, but like there's an intentionality on Instagram. You know, you seek out, if you find someone, you usually seek out and then follow them. I think that's something that like your audience and growing your audience is super important, but there is sort of like the behavior seems different. Like, I know a lot of people do follow people on TikTok, but I think, you know, it's sort of foundational to what Instagram is. But again, like, you know, it gives people, creators, and businesses the power to create short form, entertaining video. It's very different from stories. We'll get into the nuances of each one here. Like if you think about feed, right, which is where we started, y'all. I started at Instagram when it was still just static images. Like that makes me feel old. But we were just doing, like, video just became a thing. So, you know, feed is still a way to do visual storytelling with photo and video. You know, it's super important to, you know, travel. I think like still images, like so many of the creators I talk to and connect with are photographers by trade and do amazing shots. And it's like, that's not going away, you know. But what we're seeing, you know, and I'll get into reels later, like it's not like static. I think there's a lot of creators that feel like, okay, with this new vision of like reels and short form video, does the image go away? Does the power of the image go away? I don't think it does. Like, it's just like, how do you integrate that into your storytelling and who you are? So I think obviously feed, it works for photo and video. Stories is still like sort of what we call a diary of your business. Like it's really a recap of like what you did that day or what's going on. And organically, that's a lot of how people still use it. I think it plays a powerful role in telling a story of your journey along a trip. But reels could be maybe a shorter version of that. It can entertain in a bigger way, and has just, you know, so many more with music and other things, and now effects. It just has the ability to do a little more. And then there's live, which is around connecting in real time. And we've seen a lot of updates there where you can bring now, you know, other people into live, and you can more sort of going live. So that's the overview. I like to break it into these two ways. You know, if you think about some of the aspects of reels specifically that you can play with, obviously music is huge. AR, and we'll get to that, and using effects, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. And then editing, like those are all the part of the platform that allows you to sort of add that personality, you know, that, you know, we're going to do some things right, you know, later today where you can play with speed, and then just adding music, it just adds a vibe, right? Or AR, like if you have, you know, a kind of look and feel you want to go for, and you feel like is interesting to the story you're telling, or maybe even your brand, like those kind of effects help elevate sort of what you're doing, or help create consistency through that sort of effect or AR filter. And then obviously editing is important. I think a lot of people, I'm not here to tell you use reels for editing. Like a lot of y'all have their own process, but editing tools are better. They've gotten better and they're easier to use. And then so that's sort of how the personality comes in. And then the community, obviously there's trends. We'll get into some of the features now. There's not, you know, on today, no way to see the trending songs and identify those quickly, but there are ways to sort of, you know, participate with remix and things that are trending, and partner on those things, and then co-creation, engaging and provocative ways of co-creating together, like I said, with remix and stuff, are really neat opportunities. So I'm just going to talk about like inspiration around some things we're seeing. I might even call out a few channels that I follow on Instagram that are kind of good for that kind of inspiration. But, you know, it's important to integrate reels into your Instagram video strategy. So again, if like you have kind of one way of working, I think I mentioned feed earlier, or like if it's, you take a bunch of stills and then you do some kind of short form videos that are more for stories, maybe their reels is sort of an integration of those two, right? Like you think about static and video coming together in a neat edit. You use type overlay or other things or stickers to sort of then create something that's a little shorter, but like really works well. And the thing that we always talk about too is, I'm gonna let this play out.
Tamiko did have a question because I know this came up yesterday. Can you explain what AR is for people who may not be familiar with that terminology?
Yes. So AR, augmented reality, is I think the most what you're most familiar with is.
Your sound is going a little bit in and out.
How about now? Am I back?
That's better.
Okay, I was backing away from my computer. I'll stay close.
Okay.
Okay. So AR, augmented reality. So really, it kind of, if you think foundationally, AR started with just like the face filter, right? One of the early things that we saw on our platform was just people and brands actually using it for like trying on glasses. So they'd have this like 3D glasses you could try on or different things, and then, you know, makeup and filters. That's what you think of, right? Immediately when you think of AR, you think of like, oh, cool, I'm going through and I can tap on this button and now I can make my face look like this, or do like, now I have a hat on, or like fun things like that. There's also the flip of that, which is in-world augmented reality. And that's where when you flip your camera and you're in an AR filter, you could, you know, tap and like there's, you know, a polar bear in your backyard, but it's a 3D animated polar bear and you can create a fun video with that or whatever. Like that's sort of what AR does. Within travel, we see a lot of people doing neat sort of backgrounds. It's like, if you think about a Zoom background, like you can do a thing that knocks out your background, and we're going to play with green screen later, and kind of teleports you to another place. And you can be like, oh, cool. Look at where I am. So really it's those kind of things. When it comes to Reels, there are so many, and I'll show you kind of how to access them. There are so many AR effects within Reels that can complement your story or help your idea, or, you know, make your what you're doing even more powerful than you thought. So that it's essentially just that sort of layer like of reality that you're adding to. There's a lot of creators. They use this program called Spark. It's a platform, Spark AR, on our, and they're just always creating, and you have access to like utilize those across our platform. So if we think about kind of 4 areas that we want to focus on when you're working in Reels, it's like connecting with people, of course, is number 1, right? How do you engage with their interests through entertainment? Obviously, a lot of that is staying on trend and you know, being aware of what's going on, especially within travel, and then like putting your own spin on that, telling your own story around that. There's definitely a lot of you know, duplication. I did improv for a long time. When I was in Chicago, I did Second City. And one of the best things, and why I think TikTok is super successful, is one of the principles of improv is if somebody goes up and starts doing a motion on stage, it's even funnier and even better if the next person mimics that and does the same thing and builds on it. So I think that's, at its core, what's beautiful about TikTok and Reels in this space is that people kind of create this thing and then people kind of like observe it and then put their own spin on it. And I think, you know, that can be really valuable, you know, and interesting and perform really well. You know, getting discovered by Instagram vibrant community, obviously there's more opportunity to get discovered. You can flex a different side of your brand and personality. Maybe it's you're this way on feed and more specific in stories, but then you have a little more freedom to be a little more lo-fi and a little less precious. That's the thing we're seeing is like, you know, in Reels, if you just kind of like are more authentic or don't spend as much time sort of curating your content, that tends to sort of work. And we've seen that through working with brands, is that when they put anything too polished in Reels, it does not perform. And then this goes without saying, you know, thinking about 916, thinking about the possibilities of the format. I'm just gonna, this is a mock-up of a Reels ad. This isn't the, I'll get into the organic interface. And again, full disclosure from yesterday, some of the stuff I have, because I work at it, Instagram, hopefully most of it shows up on your end, but we did have a few things that weren't like, I need to look at my wife's phone more because it wasn't like 1-to-1, but most of it is. So we'll go over that. But just so you know, from a Reels ad standpoint, this launched about 6 months ago. There are Reels ads now. Like if you're scrolling through Reels in sort of that Reels feed, you will come up upon ads. They're up to 30 seconds. They're 916 with CTAs, music and sound is recommended. And then there's all the basic objectives. So again, when working with, you know, a client that wants to put paid behind it, just knowing that sort of this exists, the engagement tools, likes, comment, and share. You can like, comment, and share things. There's a brand handle, obviously, in the CTA. And sort of that's just a lightweight overview of kind of what that looks like. The other thing I wanted to call out, and I'm just going to like breeze over this, but like when it comes to music, just general awareness on like you as a creator can use music in your reels, no problem. There's like access to like tons of amazing popular music. When it comes to working with a brand and them using that, the brand does have to license that music. They can't, even in an organic post, they can't just sort of take your thing with a popular song and put it on their organic channel. They do have to do that. There is Facebook Sound Collection, which is in-app royalty-free music and other ways of accessing it. But I just want to point that out as you know, just as a point of reference. So the Reels interface, again, this should pretty much track with what you all have. You come in and turn on the Reels camera. There's a couple ways of doing it. Like if you're in Instagram, there's a plus sign at the top, and you can tap that and it pulls out a menu that says post, story, reel, live. I think you'll all have that, and you tap on reel. If you don't do that, you can actually at the bottom, sorry, not at the bottom, you can actually swipe to the right. If you swipe right on, and you're in Instagram, you swipe right, it'll bring up your camera. And then at the bottom, you have things like a post, and you can say post, story, or reel. So there's another way of navigating there. And most everyone should see similar to what I'm showing here. You've got audio, you've got length, speed, layout, and timer. And then there's this button in the middle that says effects. It's not effect, it might just be the sparkly things on your end, but that's how, what I mentioned before, you can access effects. A couple things to note, you know, I mentioned 30 seconds for ads. Like they actually now you can do organic, you can do up to 60 seconds. And one of the questions that came up yesterday is there a time there's a speed thing too. I'll pause on the time. Is there a perfect amount of time? I think what we were hearing yesterday is like 10 seconds is optimal for Reel. And I think what we learned is that, you know, whether it's 10 seconds or 30 seconds or 60 seconds, the key element is what we always say at Creative Shop is that first 3 to 5 seconds is the crucial point. You think about how human beings are scrolling through feed, it's fast, you know, sometimes even faster on Reels. So you do have like about 2 to 3 seconds, maybe 5 at the most, to kind of hook them with something. So that's where we've been talking to creators about, okay, what can you do to bring people into that story quickly? Can you add type to add context? So immediately people see, you know, a headline or something, and they're like, oh, cool, like this topic is interesting to me, or this destination is like really clear up in the first 3 seconds. I know where they are and I want to go there. You know, like playing with some of the other tools to bring people in an interesting way, and then testing that. Like, I think the reality is, like, we don't know if we don't test things. We have a bunch of, I do some stuff in the comedy world on the organic side, and there's all these people that were huge on Vine. We did this thing in South by Southwest a few years ago, and one of the key things that they said in this panel was like, on their end, they're always testing and learning. They're trying longer form comedy. They're trying shorter form comedy. They're trying to, you know, tell a joke in that first 10 seconds and see what happens, or playing with different sort of formats for storytelling. And they're testing and learning. They're, okay, why did that get so many likes and this didn't? And they're creating hypothesis, and then they're trying different things. So, you know, I would encourage you, we don't have all the time in the world, but like having the ability to kind of look at something, see like, okay, I tried that. I wonder why that didn't get as much engagement as this did, and making some comparisons and trying new things every time. So again, with the time thing, I would say there's no hard and fast rule other than, you know, how quickly people fly through feed. You know, just consider that if you hook them for that first 3 to 5 seconds, they're highly likely to engage for 10, 15, 20 seconds or 60 if they like the story you're telling. The other thing, oh yeah.
Just real quick, I think this may have come up yesterday, but should everyone have layout? I know that I have layout, but that did come up in the questions.
Yeah, you might not. It's fairly new-ish. If you don't, let me know. We'll still go through it because I think if it's not part of your UX, it should be soon.
Oh, Tamika says she doesn't have it. Sometimes I notice too if you have to. I don't know if your phone is updated to like the latest. Like
Exactly.
update the
Sometimes if you rotate it, exactly.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
just a few quick questions that came up yesterday in terms of hashtags for reels, and somebody's asking about any stats on terms of Martina, are you asking about stats in terms of what performs the best in terms of reels in general, or in terms of what he was saying about the 3 to 5 seconds? I know yesterday when we talked about timing, we were asking whether is it 7-second reels, 10-second reels, and what you guys mentioned was the first 3 to 5 seconds is most important to grab the audience. Not so much how long the entire reel is, but if you don't grab them in the first 3 to 5 seconds, then it doesn't matter really. But then in terms of hashtags, you guys were saying you guys haven't found that really is that helpful, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the hashtag. I think, look,
Right.
it's about the behavior. If you think if your goal with the reel is to drive, people, is to pull in more discovery, yeah, like play with the hashtags that you typically use. But again, the way that most people do is the algorithm kind of decides, right? So they're not seeking that out based on the hashtag. I will say for remix though, like that's really, really important, because what ends up happening is when you see remix, and we'll show you in a second, the hashtag actually pops up as the header. So if you're starting a remix and you want it to catch on, like putting some time and investment into creating it, or, obviously there are tons of popular ones. All you have to do is remix them and that will also appear. But from a people seeking and finding you out, like, I think that was sort of like the, that's really one of the main motivators for feed and why you do all the hashtags. Like for reels, I just think the behavior is definitely different. So we haven't seen any sort of like, data yet that says like, oh, you need these hashtags to win, because it's just the way that people find the content is much different.
And one other quick question Tamika had about sharing reels on your static feed versus just in the reels feed. Whether that makes a difference or not, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like if it comes up?
Yeah, because you know how it asks you like if you want to share it and like you have a snippet on like the static feed, or whether you just leave it on the Reels feed.
I
I
think
tend to
I
share it,
think I think it goes without saying, like everywhere possible, right?
okay.
Like that is probably, that's the best practice, is like, we saw it early on. I don't remember when IGTV came out, but and now it's all video. So IGTV isn't really a thing, but like you had that ability once, like a lot of people were like, cool, I'm not tapping on IGTV, right? I'm not going into IGTV and like finding stuff and searching stuff. So once they brought it into feed and people's behavior, what we saw with IGTV is that people were tapping on it and then expanding and being like, oh, this is like 3 minutes. I'm in, it's like an episode of The Daily Show and I'm watching 7 minutes. I think it's really the same. Like the more you can optimize for placement,
Okay.
the better, because then you can pull people in. The other thing that you just reminded me, Nadine, is that now with Remix, which is basically, if you don't know what Remix is, it's duets on TikTok. Like the ability to start something and do it. You can now remix any video. It used to be Reels only, but that's a new thing. So if you just see a video in feed and you tap on it and play it, you can see it's 3 dots on the corner. You can just tap on that and remix it because you like it or because you're into it or whatever. So that's fairly new. Did I cover everything? I think we talked about hashtags.
Yep, I think so. It's interesting. A lot of people don't. I have layout, but it's interesting. A lot of people here are saying that they don't have it yet. So, wow. Okay. But yes, I will let you.
The good thing is I'm not actually going to do a demo with it, but I am going to show you how it works here. Like this is what I love about layout. Oh gosh.
I'll let you go ahead.
Can you guys see that? Yeah. So obviously it's going to go through the 15 seconds. The other thing from a timing standpoint is this always trips me up. Like this part where I'm showing right now, where it's like the speeding up though or slowing down, like just so you all know, for again, it's like anything below 1x, like 0.5 or 0.3 is slower. So it's basically slower. It's like slowing it down. And then anything like 2x, 3x, 4x is going to make it look, you know, like super fast. And we're going to do an experiment together, a little interactive thing where we're going to create and play with speed. But like Nadine mentioned, layout, if you don't have it, don't worry, it's coming and it should be on your phone soon. What's really neat about it is that what you'll see in this demo video in the middle, like if I choose a different screen and there's different layouts, I can record something in the top, as you can see here. And then I just, you know, took my hat off and acted like I was somebody else. And then I record something in the bottom. So now you have this kind of split screen video that you've recorded like a section of in the top, a section of the bottom, and now they're sort of playing together. So there's like potential to like kind of like play with different things, you know, here. Like you could even record yourself in a way, and then maybe even record the destination, right? Flip the camera and record where you're at. And maybe you're like in the first top part of the video, you're saying, oh my gosh, this is the most beautiful view I've ever seen in my life, blah, blah, blah. I'm here, wherever. You're kind of doing a little bit of a recap of the destination and where you're at. And then you're just recording in the bottom, the destination, so people can see it in real time. So it's a really cool tool. I did some other experiments so there's the stacking that you can do 3 across where you record. There's like side by side, so you could actually kind of pretend like you're interviewing someone potentially. You can zoom in super close up, which is weird, but that does work. You can change the scale of things in the frame. So there's a lot of flexibility. If you don't have it, don't worry. Again, like it's probably that you may need to update it. If you don't update it, or if you update and doesn't solve the issue, it should come. Like sometimes weirdly with some of these features, y'all, they kind of like hold back for a certain number or percentage of people just to test with and without. And so like, again, if you really want it, want to try it, want to know why, reach out, ping me and be like, I can't get it. And we can do some digging on why. But hopefully if you do an update, it'll show up. And then, you know, just to cover off on the UX, the timer on the bottom, the thing, stopwatch looking thing, that is set up for you to time the clip and the amount of time the clip records you. So this is great because if you're recording and using Reels to record, you're not bringing in things post-production and just editing them. This gives you the chance to, and we'll play with it later, like to say, I want this clip to be 10 seconds. I know what I want to say. It's going to happen in 10 seconds. And then you can set your phone down and it does like you don't have to hold the record for a certain amount of time. You can tap it. It gives you a kind of 3, 2, 1 countdown and then allows you to record. So those are kind of some of the newer features. I would encourage you all to follow Karen Chang. Also follow @creators. Write this down if you maybe already do this, but like Instagram has this amazing curated content of people who are doing really interesting, you know, filming techniques or trends or different things. There's also, I think within @creators, they do it's either every 2 weeks or monthly, they do a trending recap. And it's like, it's really interesting because every once in a while it'll be a travel trend. I don't know if you guys remember where some creators were just taking, you know, the filters that you swipe through on Instagram are like Paris is one and some other ones. They were using that filter and kind of hacking that to like also show traveling to those places. So they were kind of playing with it. That was kind of a trend that people were doing for a while. There's other ones, but it's @creators on Instagram is just a good sort of tap into like really interesting creators are doing really interesting stuff, but also some key trends. This is Karen. She did this video. I love this. It's just super simple. If you have a drone, it's not super simple, but just creating something where she kind of blows and then it goes into space. And there's obviously a cut point here where they go into After Effects and you see the plane. Like that's not the drone, but kind of a fun way of creating a film. Transitions are huge, right? Like playing with transitions. I'm going to show you all where you can use this tool that gives you basically a overlay of the last frame you shot and makes sort of creating transitions a lot easier. We'll go into that later. And then this is from Marriott, just even taking the content that you shoot like along the trip. Like this is a mix of video and still. It's a mix of point of view, right? Some is like somebody filming you, some is like sort of more of a first person point of view. Like that shot, and just like mixing those things up and then playing with different edits. Like that's the power of Reels too, is like using it as an edit tool, bring in a bunch of things, move stuff around. And then again, like I said, with that first 3 seconds piece of like, how long do you make it? Maybe you make a few edits and see, does this image pull people in more, or does starting with something that's like more first person point of view pull people in, and what are different ways? And then obviously the other sort of really cool thing is just seeing different filming techniques that people are using with their phones. This is like a creator that does a lot of stuff with cars, but you can kind of see the thing and then you're inspired by it and you see the result and how it all came together. And it's really sort of, again, inspiring. So another
real quick is Karen, is it Karen X Chang? Like,
yeah.
Okay, I did found it. So I just want to share that.
Yeah.
And just real quick, Mashana is asking what's the difference between sharing feed versus sharing to Reels. So I just wanted to answer that for her. So Mashana, when you create a reel, it'll ask you once after you've created it, if you want to share like the cover or the snippet to your feed, your actual Instagram feed. So you can do that, or you could skip that step and just share it to Reels, where it just shows up on the Reels feed. So that is what we're talking about. Some people have it automatically set where like a snippet will share to your Instagram feed on your regular posts on Instagram. And then that's what we're referring to, versus you may not have that and it'll just show up under your Reels tab. Okay, so she got it. And I just shared Karen's reel. Okay, great. Thank you, Scott.
Awesome. Thanks, Sydney. This is a recent thing that Delta did with Remix, and this was actually a campaign. They worked with the creators that you'll see on the right. So essentially what they did was they set up this video, I'll let it play in a second, where it's, basically talking about how Triumph is a universal language. It's a spot, it's a very curated, tailored spot, but really amazing, really beautiful, great music. And then they posted that for people to remix, and then they brought in creators, paid creators, to remix it and give it legs. So you'll kind of see the first example, and then you'll see sort of how everyone did their sort of version of what they're calling the Delta Victory Pose. So what's neat about this is like the variety of things you get. Like I love the one way on the right because it's just a kid like, swimming to his dad with a snorkel gear. And then there's some that where you're like, holy cow, they're talented. So it's like a spectrum. But again, what's neat about Remix is that you can kind of start something, in this case, they had like their own original audio. Delta had their own original audio and those kind of things. But like we're seeing more, evolution from a product standpoint in this space, and more opportunity, really unlocking opportunity for brands to do something, try to start sort of something, but also use creators to kickstart that in a cool way. So those are just inspiration. There's one more example. I'll just kind of high level. This is for Sonic, and they had this bursting bubbles drink that they were launching. It was like a slushy with some sort of like bursting bubble boba vibe in it. And I think they had a traditional approach to how they worked with creators, but because sound was sort of integral to the way that like the bubbles burst in your mouth, and there was sort of like this audio element, they worked with a sound creator to rig all these drinks up and actually record sort of different sounds per drink. So they ended up mixing this all into one thing. This is highly polished. But what was cool is they had like a different sort of approach for Reels than they did sort of for the rest of the campaign. And so the organic Reels was, this video ad, but then there was also like just the the two guys talking to sort of like, you know, the audience and kind of breaking down how they did the process. This is some cool hotness that doesn't exist. Speaking of things that you don't have yet, but I just wanted to preview this just to show that we're always trying to innovate in Reels. This is kind of a new thing. So not ready for prime time yet, but something that, again, around music that we've been doing a lot of experimentation with is reactive audio. So being able to use your, like you saw there, it's kind of tapping into sort of an AR feature. It's following my hand and the audio is going up and down based on sort of my movement. So there's more being pushed in that place. None of this is like, you know, ready for prime time, but I always like showing things that are kind of cool on the roadmap. I'm going to pause there because we're about to move into the Reels portion and just see if there's any other questions, comments, thoughts before we just get into it and use our phone and play.
Okay, well, does anybody want to come on up and we're going to do some live Reels here? I think Marquita was interested in coming up.
Yeah, you all can be on. Yesterday it was pretty quiet on the coming up, which is okay too. No pressure. Like it worked really well if but like being on the stage is always kind of fun too. So whatever everyone's comfortable with.
So I think you guys should be able to request to share your audio and video, and then you'll pop up here and I will say yes. Okay, here is Marquita. Here we go.
Hello.
Hey.
Cool. This is gonna be great because then Martina, you'll be like, ask questions, or you can be like, Scott, you're doing it wrong.
I don't know.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Uh-oh.
I can hear you.
Scott. No, Scott. I was telling you.
Okay.
I couldn't see him.
Again. Good Lord.
Hey, Martina.
Oh wait, where'd Scott go?
I think he has to come back on. This happened yesterday. He'll be back.
Honestly, I don't know what I just volunteered for. So that's
me neither.
I don't even know why you're here because you're Reels with LJ. Come on now. What kind of help do y'all need?
I do the business. He does the real. So I actually need some help.
You guys do great Reels. So, all right, Scott is back. So I'll let him take over.
Well, this is great. Like, it's great to have other people that I can see. I love this. So I'm probably going to bounce back and forth. Is that okay, Nadine, if I do share screen from time to time? Cool. So just so we're all like together in this, just pull out your phone and, you know, just get familiar with the Reels. I think I mentioned it, like there's kind of a couple ways to get in. The easiest way for me is just in feed. You swipe left, and then you're there at the bottom. You just see, you know, post in stories, Reels. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to do a thing that's going to be pretty easy to start, and you don't have the difficulty. So good.
Yep.
Okay. All right, and we're back. Okay, so let's see here. So I think just some simple rules to follow if we're thinking about like the principles of creating Reels. Making it unique. It is your voice, right? You don't want to create something that feels like, you know, inauthentic to you. So this is not about creating something, you know, that's just a gimmick or something, you know, different than what you're doing. Like, still stay true to who you are. Relatable, something, you know, people can personally identify with. So again, that's like, are you playing off of like an aspect of travel that you know, recently experienced? And like, everyone feel this, we feel this, you know, and telling a story around that. Something that's easy to recreate. I think this goes without saying. We have tons of, you know, data around what's working on Reels organically and in paid, and it is the stuff that feels a lot less polished. Don't feel like you have to do something, some kind of big, amazing shoot. Like, it's something you should be able to easily recreate and do. And then I said, easy, simple as well. High impact, lo-fi. So the first thing we're going to do is, I referenced this at the beginning, we're going to do some experimentation with time lapse. And what's kind of neat about the slowdown effect is that you can play with that speed and really kind of like create something that feels very different. So you'll see from this example, and I will say the thing we learned yesterday is that we're going to do this all in camera. There'll be some of these tutorials pull anything that you've already created in on your phone if you want to, but this one will just use the live camera. So we'll be creating together here. So you can see on this first video, they're just basically going from 1x to 4x, which is, again, like I said, faster. And they're just doing a simple motion, right? They're like in real time, just mixing eggs. But you can see like it's like a 22-second video of them mixing eggs. Then when you see eggs in the morning, I like mine with a kiss. Super simple, right? It just all it does is speed it up, right? So we're gonna play with that live here. I'm gonna show you kind of the example that I did. And this doesn't have to be what you do, but let's try it. So what I would recommend here is, and you can see what's on screen is, if you want to do a couple things, I would tap on the 1x and change it to 4x. And then you can also go in, and this is just going to make what you're creating just a lot easier. If you want to go into the stopwatch on the bottom and set the timer. In my little demo here, I went in, I set to 4x, and then I did like I think like a 7-second timer, just to kind of condense it down and be hands-free, because what I'm going to do, you guys don't have to do this. You can just like wave or do whatever motion you want to do. But in this example, I walked through slow motion wise. And this is another thing that's kind of really interesting. You can see I'm an idiot walking through, but if you had sound on, it's actually the song, Do You Know the Way to San Jose? And I'm hearing that in slow motion as I'm acting. So I'm using those cues from the song. It's super slowed down because it's going to speed everything up. But that's another thing you can do with audio. If you want to pre-pick a song that you know you want in your video, you can use that as a cue. You see this a lot with like people dancing and doing kind of cool things, kind of hitting their mark. See, then me saying like, I don't know the way to San Jose hits with the song at the right time. So you can't tell because of audio, but I'm going to stop sharing and we're just going to do this together. So again, a couple things to play with. If all you want to do is just experiment with like the speed up thing, just hit 4x and record yourself doing a motion, and then tap on that and you can see how fast you move. If you want to do it in a certain time, you know, like right now, I'm going to set my phone down on my computer. I'm going to set that timer that I talked about, and then I'm going to tap and record it. It's going to give me a countdown. See, Nadine's doing it. She's doing some kind of cool move. And then I'm just going to like hit record. I'm going to actually pop up from nowhere. I don't know what I'm doing here, but we'll see what that is. And then it's going to stop. You can stop it when you want it, but it also will stop at a certain time. And then if you go either way, if you go back, there's a button that's like a back button to that can give you a chance to edit it. That will show you the real time, or you can just go to the preview button and that'll show you it. One of the things that I love too is, again, it's all about whatever your process is. So now, if you like your video, then what you could explore is tapping on the music and then bringing in music that you think would go with sort of like a faster sound. Like the eggs in the mornings kind of had a faster beat to it. It kind of matched with sort of the urgency of the fast whipping of the eggs. If you tap on music, and you'll see, I referenced this earlier, but you'll see that, and this was where a lot of questions came up, so we can pause on music for a little while if you guys have questions, but most of you should all have now a whole page that pops up for music. So there should be a tab at the top that says For You, saved, and then import. and then you can search, and then there should be featured, like you have sort of like this little banner at the top. Uh-oh, did I go away? There's this banner at the top. There's also like for you songs that are based on things you've searched recently and you're into, and then there's new releases if you continue to scroll down, and there's a section for original audio. I have Throwback Thursday and Game Time. Anyone? Do you have that one? No? Good. Okay. So you can see it's sort of like the music is definitely more robust. I think some of the questions we were getting, is there a way to search? If you notice the trending music when you're watching Reels has like an arrow trending up. That's a note I pinged in a group recently because I'm like, based on yesterday's comment, because it's like we should have that. Maybe we're working on that. I don't know. But anyhow, there's a lot you can do, and then you can find a song, and then you can tap it, and then you can hear the song now with your sped up motion and be like, oh, that's kind of cool, or not. So try to find something. Is everyone kind of following along? Are there any questions through that process? That was an easy one to start with, by the way.
Anyone have any questions so far? I was asking in the chat. Something that we mentioned was if you see trending Reels, you can save the audio. So that's what I do. And then I keep it under saved in Reels. And then I'll just add that trending audio song when I make the reel.
That's a great call, Nadine. Like saving is crucial.
Yeah. No question.
You can also type in the word trending, and sometimes that works. It doesn't always pull up the exact ones, but there are like songs that do trend in search.
Scott, so you can't save with audio, correct?
Say it again.
You aren't able to save your reel with audio, like here?
Yeah, that's the trick, right? Yeah, they don't allow you to just download it. The audio will go away. It's the right stuff, you know?
Okay.
That work. It's the same way on Instagram stories. If you've ever added the music sticker and tried to save it, the audio goes away.
That makes sense.
It's annoying. You know what? What I do there is I just screen record it if I want it for later. What about any chats? Scott's voice is robotic. I'm gonna leave and come back to you.
I learned for the first time yesterday how to set how long I want the clip to be. He taught me that yesterday. I'd never done that before. So that was cool.
But now, better? Am I a robot?
Perfect.
Good. Should we move on to the next one? You feel good? Any other questions? Cool. All right. I'm going to share my screen again. And we're going to talk about effects. Now, this is something that came up yesterday, right? I think the perception may be that adding an effect to your reel can not help. It can essentially hurt. But I at least want to showcase how to do it and kind of like play with it a little bit, because there are so many things you can access. Like if it's just a little bit of a filter that adds like a look of sort of an older film, almost like filters do your photos, that could be, you know, part of a campaign, a way of keeping your story consistent. I have a friend of mine that's got his own fitness brand now and does a lot of online fitness training. And he has like a border. He always uses the same sort of wide angle lens, but then he uses Reels and uses a filter to create sort of that look and feel. This is how you do it. Now you're going to see on this interface, this isn't right. The effect, the sparkle thing is now directly above your Reels button, but you can see in this one, what they did was they found this sort of like sort of shaky looking effect to create sort of this augmented sense of like shaking. And then it just added that little touch to the film that was enough to kind of go with the music, kind of elevate the overall things. There's a lot of ways to access these. Just, I'm going to show you just a quick demo of like what I did playing with effects. So this is new. What you're seeing is new. When you, I don't know if y'all saw how I got there, but basically I tap that sparkle, those three sort of stars in the middle, and that will pull up this awesome menu of like a search bar, things you bookmark, trending reels. There's a Black Creators one, appearance. So you can kind of navigate these different tabs and really test them. Cool. You can see how they work before you actually commit to them in your story. So you can see, you know, I'm just here testing a few of these out. There's different looks. There's like this, you know, sort of vlog cam one. And then you can basically go in and then again, if you want to, what I would suggest we do for this experiment. Oh, look, there's audio. I'm going to stop sharing. What I would suggest we do for this is go back to just a one-time camera effect. Don't speed this up. Let's not play with sound. And again, if you just want to record yourself throughout this, but one of the things that's kind of neat is that you could literally go into the effects, record yourself using the effect, and then record another effect and another effect and another effect, and then it creates sort of this cool timeline of you looking different ways. Or you can just do one and experiment. So what I did in the demo when I tried it was I would just, you know, open the Reels camera, tap on the effects button, and then explore. So if you have something in mind, you can type it in if you want to see trending. And what I love is that feature of like testing it at the top. Like you can just really kind of see what it's going to do. Again, some are really weird. Like this one's making my eyes look red. Why? And then what I would recommend you do is once you find one or two that you kind of like, maybe you bookmark them. I'm going to use the one where I open my mouth and I have Thor lightning coming out. So I'm going to bookmark that. But then I'm going to go back into Reels and I'm just going to like tap and hold and record just a little clip of it. And now it's in, like if I go into my clip, there it is, right? And then maybe I'm going to choose another one and kind of like play with a bunch, you know, and like kind of string them all together in quick clips where sometimes I have electricity, but sometimes maybe I'm looking. Yeah, exactly. We're all opening our mouths because there's fun interactive things happening. And again, like I heard from the group yesterday that people don't tend to use effects because they hurt views potentially. I don't know if that's true. Somebody said, I didn't catch the part about being able to hear music in the background. Can you repeat that? Is that for selecting music?
Oops, I was on mute. Shanae, can you be, I saw that question, but I wasn't sure what she was referring to. Shanae, can you type again what you were referring to in terms of the music? And right, yesterday we talked about whether effects would affect your views, and you guys said that you had not heard that. I had recently been using a bunch of effects just to see whether it helped or hurt, and it seemed like it hurt, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good call out, Nadine. I haven't actually gotten to an answer on that. And what I would say is like, whatever you're doing, like these are all tools, right? And we decide you are all the arbiters of your brands. You are all arbiters of your voice and what you bring, you know? So I don't think I would ever recommend using them just for the sake of using them, right? Like they're cool, but like you always have to ask the question why. So what I would say is like, say you're doing a campaign and you want some consistency, or you have sort of like a story you want to tell, but for, you know, it's in a certain area where having more like of an old school, like VHS effect is integral to your story. don't just rely on that to like make it successful. Like integrate that plus the way you talk about your story, you know, to being maybe a throwback. You know, one of the examples that came up that I thought was beautiful yesterday was Tamiko talking about how she was dreaming. And this is a good segue because the next one we're going to do is using green screen. And I'm going to show you how to put green screen video behind you so you can do like, hey, here's where I went last week, and you can talk to it. But one of the things that we were talking with Tamiko about was she had this idea of like using green screen and like these are the places I'm dreaming of going. Remember, Tamiko? And it was like you can use an effect, find an effect that makes your footage look like it's a dream and it's like sparkly and like.
So I wanted you to go over that again because I was trying to remember what you were saying and I was taking notes and I didn't get that part.
Yeah. So like if I'm to describe the process, and this is good because this will segue into our next interactive section, which is using green screen. So we're gonna,
So I love that idea to use an effect to possibly create branding for a series or something that you plan on doing. Do you have any suggestions for, like, I'm going to do a date night series here soon. Do you have any suggestions off the top of your head for effects that could work well for that?
Well, I think that's the kind of cool thing about the search, right? Am I still coming through okay, guys? Not a robot, okay. I think that's what's really interesting about like the search functionality. Like if there's a theme like dating or even love or like romance, type those words in and see what you get. Do a bit of discovery, Martina, because like I think you'll find that there's some really bad ones. Like, look, this is the Spark AR community. Some of these are like, wait, what's going on? And then you'll come across one and you're like, oh my God, this isn't art directionally. You'd be like, that's such a good vibe. I love the way that makes me look, or the frame look, or whatever. So there's a bit of discovery. I don't think there's one way of doing it. I mean, there's also like, you know, trending and there's some that are based on appearance. What you can also do that's limited in Reels is go out of Reels and you can go even deeper just by searching. If you go, you should always have like past effects at the bottom and a bunch of buttons. You should be able to scroll all the way to the right, and it's a search, and you can search so much more robustly than you can just in this little search too, because it'll go into like other categories.
Got it. And then if we want to create our own effects, how is the process for that?
Oh my gosh. Well, we're going to do I think we're actually slated in like a month or two to do what we're calling like a intro to Spark AR. But Martina, it's a platform, man, it is so fun. And I will say I did, Meta has this thing called, well, it's like an instructional internal thing that we're going to give you guys access to and bring some people from that team. But essentially you use the Spark AR platform. You have to download a few things, but you come into it and there's tutorials, and you could literally, Martina, you could literally draw something on a piece of paper. Like I drew some clouds and I scanned it in, import it in the right way, and you can see clouds on your face. So it's a really neat thing. Obviously the fidelity that some of the creators that have worked with the programs like Photoshop, right? If you really get good at it, you can really do amazing things. But there is the ability to create your own. I mean, you see a lot of people doing kind of like the stickers on their cheeks. I see that on Snap, and some of those things are just importing an icon, you know, some kind of cool like mark or paint or something. Some of the stuff is a little easier to achieve, but that's going to be its own session. So there is the ability to work with Spark. There's also Spark creators that are doing amazing things. I don't know if you all follow Don Allen, but like he does a ton in 3D, and he's like creating like, you know, outfits that like he did this thing with Creative Shop the other day where he was just doing an interview and he was like tapping between these different shirts that looked like, you know, they were from the metaverse. It was insane. So like there's definitely a spectrum there. But back to sorry.
Is that going to be something that you just learn how to do and you can do it, or is there like a process to have it approved to be able to be in Instagram?
Anyone can do it, Martina. Anyone can do it. Like the program is free, the platform is free, and you really, you know, it's really, and there's tons of resources to talk through and train you on how to do it. There is an approval process for every filter. So once you submit, you always have to kind of bake in, like, we deal with this a lot with clients. They're like, hey, can we get our thing approved? And it's like, it does take about a week for Instagram to approve a filter and be featured in your effects tab.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Tamika, I'm going to talk to your thing as I share the next thing we're going to do. And I'm going to walk through it like we were going to do it. So yesterday, just a real quick recap, everyone. Yesterday, Tamika had this idea of like dreaming of a place that you're going to be. And so the way I described creating that process, and we'll do a little bit of it with green screen, is I'll explain green screen, we'll walk through it, and we'll do it together. But with green screen filter, you can actually, just like Zoom, you can block out the background and you can add media. I'll show you how to do that. So the idea there would be, if you could take, you know, 6 or 7 clips of where you had just been, all you really have to do is pull them into Reels, edit them, and then add a filter over them that looks dreamy. And then you can export that out, you can save it, and then now you have this really nicely, tightly edited, pretty consistent video that's maybe like 10 seconds, right? And it's cutting from like one place to one place, but over all of it, it looks kind of like Gaussian blurry and like sparkly and that kind of thing. Then, Tamika, what you would do is go into green screen, which you're about to do right now, and then when you add media, you add that thing that you already edited. So now it's behind you and you're like, oh, cool, you know? So we'll play with that for the time being. For today, just pull any video that you have on your phone, and I'll kind of give you a quick overview of how green screen works. So I'm going to show you back to the slides. I'm going to go back to the slides and show you green screen real quick. That's remix green screen.
So Scott, you pull the video first that you want, and then add the green screen to it, correct? From yesterday, I think that's what we said, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to get that video. Once you get the green screen filter up, you want to add the video first. Exactly. So you'll see it here. Like Juliana gets real kind of tricky. So I'll show you how to find it when we pop off this, but you can see the add media button. I'll go back to it. Like, you search for green screen, and I'll show you how to do that. But when you tap add media, it'll pull in any video that you have. She shot a 20-second video of her background to make it look like she has a twin walking behind her. You can actually also set sort of the timer here. She's like, you know, time it so she can record herself, you know, while that thing's happening, and kind of create multiplicity. But what we're going to do is not that today. We're just going to play with green screen. So I want everyone, you can just follow along with me. What I'm going to have you guys do, actually, if you've already created a bunch of stuff, you know, I just discarded everything because I'm over what we've just done already. And all you're going to do is you're going to have your freeform camera here. You're going to tap effects, okay, and it's going to pull that same view up. And then you're going to go over to the search function and just type in the word green screen. And we were finding some real great success yesterday with the one that comes up first. It looks like you kind of have, I don't know if you see it, but it's like it's the Instagram one. It kind of has like a checkerboard behind you. So tap on that. I would say the pro tips for this, and look, this technology could get better. Like we were having some people yesterday that have curly hair that it wasn't really, doing a great job. The more, like you can see me right now, I have so much contrast behind me. It's not necessary, but like it does help. The more contrast you have behind you, the better. So you can see yourself. I'm going to show this. It should just show that. Tap on that and make that your full screen. And you'll see that it says add photo or video to the background. So tap your add media button and then just grab a video. What it's going to do is it's going to take that video and it's just going to loop it. So you should actually see, if you pull a video in, that it is behind you. I just did I'm working on a Jurassic Park thing, so that's a dinosaur.
We can't, just FYI, Scott, we can't see you.
Oh, not again. Okay.
Oops.
And yesterday I was having problems because I was uploading video from, I was doing it wrong. I was uploading video from the bottom where the plus sign is and not the add media. So mine wasn't working because I wasn't following directions. So I was trying to go in and add it at the bottom where we normally add the media at, and clearly right above green screen, it says add media. So it was user error, but that's why I could never do it.
Yeah. So what's fun about this one is that then you can see yourself behind it, and you can be like, hey, here was me when I was doing some fun stuff, and then you just record that, and now you have a video of you talking about the place you went. And that's, I was playing with an AR filter with a dinosaur. So I don't know if you can see that or not. So then you hit preview and you can see, hey, look, here I am talking about the video. And one thing to point out is that, yeah, see, you're there, Nadine. One of the things to point out too is the audio that it captures is you. It won't use the audio from the thing. So if audio was important to that video, you can really just only hear yourself. And then what I would say too, another way to elevate that is then when you get into, so you preview that, if you want to add, type that you see, over it. Yeah, see? Look at Martina, she's doing it. She's pointing at stuff. Like if you want to add type to add context to what you're doing, you can do that once you hit preview and go to the type tool. We're going to play with text to speech too in a minute.
So Scott, I'm doing it, or I was doing it, but like I have the video I want in the background for the green screen, but it's not keeping me in the video. Like when I'm doing all this, like how do I record that and make it stay?
Are you pressing down?
Yes. So like,
are you going in and out? Are you going in and out of it, Martina?
Yeah.
It might just be the lighting and where you're sitting. Like again, the contrast, it's just like Zoom. So if you're in a position where your background is trying to pick up other stuff, it might not be picking you up. And then just make sure you're selfie facing camera too.
I got it. It's I think I just wasn't going back. So I got it. Thank you.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. Like sometimes I'm like, where is it? And then you have to preview it or go back. I mean, I love what people are saying, like how much this is, because again, from a storytelling standpoint as a creator,
We're losing you, Scott.
Scott is like, this Wi-Fi today is like killing him. Scott is like, this Wi-Fi. Sorry,
And you
y'all.
guys-
We sometimes we can't help with these.
I
I
actually,
love how you can change the size of your head and body, like squishing it bigger or smaller. I didn't realize that yesterday.
are you in green screen doing that?
Yeah, like I'm making my head bigger or smaller.
Yeah, that's another thing you can do. You can scale up that media in different ways or reposition it too, I think, right?
Yeah, I didn't even do that yesterday. That's kind of cool.
I just think this is great. Again, it's another aspect of like, especially within travel, I feel like oftentimes you are the center of your story and not as able to sort of, I mean, sometimes you're like holding the camera up and walking through places and telling a story, but it's neat to sort of talk about your journey too and reflect back on the trip you took.
Somebody asked, can we add text to the green screen? Did we answer that?
You can add text so once you capture it and say you get it, edited the way you want, and it's the perfect amount of time, when you tap preview, you can add text. So like similar to how stories pops up, if you tap preview, you'll get every tool that you have in stories up top. You'll get type, you'll get, stickers and those kind of things. And you'll be able to add type then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like when you do normal reels, it comes up.
Yeah, I mean, Shanae, what I would say about editing green screen once you press done, yes, you should be able to. Yeah, you can keep doing, you could do like a series of them, right? You could have 10-second videos from each destination, record yourself, and it'll park it in that editing thing, and then put in more media and record that, and it'll put it there, and it'll start stacking those clips. And then you can go into press that button on the left where you kind of see yourself, and then it'll show you the edit. You can tap on individual ones, edit different things, or edit them down in real time too.
This is awesome, Scott. Yeah, I just put two together and then it just came up as if I had made like a regular reel where you could add text and music and so forth. I'd never known
that's
how to do
another
that.
thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can add all that stuff at that point too. You can add an effect. That's where, back to Tamiko's thing, I loved is once you put in, separate from green screen, if Tamiko, all you had was a series of clips from different destinations and you edit those all together, then once you preview it, you can put a filter, you can tap on the sparkle on top, and then that's when it globally will put a filter sort of over the entire video, and then you save that, and then now you're bringing it into your ad media, and then you've kind of curated something. So it's like a neat sort of like process that you've built in a way.
Someone, I think this is going into what we probably even last, where the stop motion. I'm assuming this is what she's talking about. Can you show how to do a reel that shows a process? For example, someone dressing their kid, baby in a diaper, baby in the pants, baby in a shirt.
So I'm going to show you a very simple version of how to use a tool, which is basically the unlock for people doing that jump, and now they've changed their clothes, or tap and that kind of thing. What we can do together, we can play with it too, because I just scaled it down because I assume everyone might have a pencil and paper. So the demo I'm going to show is just doing it with paper and pencil. But I'll show you how they do that real quick. Let me share my screen.
So even the changing clothes, Scott, that's done through stop motion, not them.
No, it's done through that tool. And I'll show you it. It's the, let me double check what it's called. I can't remember. The demo I'm giving is playing with stop motion, but the tool itself that we're using is, hold on. I'll just show you it. It's got a name. I'm like, what's it called again? Okay. So if you see this example, this is what I was saying is playing with stop motion. And you'll see really all they're doing here is kind of like doing a step in each part of the process. They're recording different steps one at a time, and then clearing it. And when it's done, it does create a stop motion video. How did they do that? How did they get there? Well, you can see it's called a line. Thank you. So once you record anything, you should see, like if you record anything, you'll see that align tool that keeps popping up. It looks like two pieces of paper kind of stacked on top of each other. I'm aligning this type to create a stop motion so I can keep adding type. You can see what I did here, like on the left, it's going to like type out and spell my name. But that's only because all I'm doing is like using that align tool to like write something and then turn my camera on, record, and turn my camera off real quickly. And then I align it again, add another letter, and then it makes an animation. But the same tool is used for basically all it's doing is it's capturing in your edit, it's capturing the very last frame and putting it as a layer over what you're recording, which is why it makes it so easy when you're filming something and you stop filming it, to your point earlier of like taking off shirt. If I'm doing a dance and then I'm like this and I freeze, you can take that last frame as an overlay and reline it up exactly to where you are, change your outfit, get back in position and lock that position and then keep going. So then it makes that hard cut. And it does that sort of match cut effect because you have that ability to line it up. Now, a lot of people use, tripods and such. The reason why I did the demo the way I did is we could all, if we want to just practice it, we can all just get out a piece of paper and a pen and start basically write something down, write your name, whatever, write the word hi. And I'll do it while we're kind of talking about it in real time and just, again, show it. I'm actually I'll start with actually doing it with just a selfie video, just so you guys see. So if I record myself, recording myself waving, you'll see it immediately. Your menu expands to one more thing beyond the stop. See that icon, that align icon right there, everybody? So if I tap on that, it's like, oh, look, it's me from the very last frame. And that's exactly how you do it, right? You no matter what you're doing, you can always basically sync those two things. And again, like the demo that we could all try, if you want to try it, is just literally getting a piece of paper out.
Can you see?
Switching your camera. Yeah, see, you're already way ahead. You got your amazing.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah, and then it just allows you to line it back up. Again, the practical application to whoever had that awesome comment, I can't, Marquita was that. That's the practical application of like baby in diaper, baby in pants, baby in shirt. That's how you achieve it. But this is just a fun hack that we can all do while we're playing around. And so what I do is I flip the camera. I write a letter on a piece of paper. And I, hover my camera over it, and I literally tap the record button and then the stop record button, like super fast. So I tap it once, tap it again. And so it gives me like literally a second of video. But then when I hit that onion skin, to Tamiko's point, like you can see my H. And then I can write the next letter. And then now I can very easily with that onion skin line up, or that align tool, I can line up and I can tap and record again really quickly. So I'm just going to line it up and I'm going to tap, tap, tap. Try not to move it. And then same thing, right? I tap on that and now I have the next letter. And again, this is for stop motion, but like, again, most of the time, the practical application of it is to do a match cut and like show yourself with a different shirt or a different pair of shoes or.
Hey, Scott. So how, like similar to that example you showed with Onika earlier, where she boarded a train and then she ended up somewhere else. Is that done with this application or was that done?
It is. You know what she's doing there, and if you slow down the film, you can really see what she's got is a point where the camera hits the it's basically going to come so close to that door that it's going to give you a cut point. So she's still probably using it, but the great thing is, like, if you really to slow it, go down frame by frame, that camera is going in front of that door. And that's where she's cutting it. And then it's almost like there are techniques that even in editing you can do. You can do like a black frame that flashes. You can do other things. That gets beyond reels. But what she's doing is she's matching. And what's great about that is that she can see, she can edit it, and then she can use the align tool, and she can see, okay, cool, like the frame is full, and now I'm going to start here with my next frame and know that that's going to pop out. And then she can also be like, where was I in the frame, right? And then make sure she's in a similar position when she starts her next thing. A lot of this is trial and error, but like it helps so much to play with these tools when you're on a shoot, because you can kind of line that up, try it, see how it looks, try it again, and play with it.
So she just saved it into her saved reels and then opened that saved reel back up when she got to her next destination, and then filmed that door or whatever it was, opening it up and aligning the new door with the old door and start walking through.
Yeah, can I show you guys?
Yes.
Exactly how it worked. Yeah, I think it's, again, the process is going to be different for everyone, Tomiko. Like, you might shoot that first thing, and you might save it, and then you might upload it again when you're on the different location. Like, everybody's kind of going to work in a different way, but you can see, I'm just going to scrub through it so everybody kind of sees how it was achieved. Can you all see this? So yes. I can scrub it. You can see like where that's landing. She did a really good job of like, see how it goes, literally cuts to, it's like something big and obstructive and that, right? But again, like where she's tracking in the thing, she's lining that pretty much up in frame where she would be, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where that tool really comes in handy, is that she can say, okay, if I see where I am, that's like, this would be her layer, y'all. This would be the layer. And she's like, cool, I actually want to start walking past this other obstruction that's blurred, but I want to be a little farther in frame. So this is where I'm going to start. And this is where, and I'm sure it took like, 4 or 5 different camera moves to get the cameraman to sort of come out and then it focus and all that. But you can see how it's a super useful tool to continue that. But you're really looking at like, there's this, whatever that is. I don't even know what they put in front there. It's beautiful. But, and then it's the, it's that, it's what's filling the frame is the train, So again, this one's probably from a level of execution. If there's a rating level, this one's a little harder because you have to get that timing right, but use the match tool for that. The close stuff is a lot easier, because you can literally be like, okay, move, you're too close to the camera, you're too close back, and you can get whoever's working with you to line it up exactly.
Wow, Scott.
I want this to be our tired day, because like I mean, we always just kind of, I feel like, scratch the surface. There's so much to play with. So much fun.
I mean, I don't know about everyone else here, not LJ, obviously, who's commenting, but there's so many icons in Reels that I just never think to even click on, because I'm like, I don't know what that does. Just so people know here, this is being recorded, and you're going to be emailed. The recording's going to be emailed to you, because obviously there's a lot of information here, and we could watch this over and over and over again. And it's going to take a lot of practice to go through this. And so, not to worry, it's being recorded, and our tech team is going to break this down for you and email this to you. So this has been so helpful. And like we mentioned at the beginning, for people who weren't on at the beginning, we're going to have you guys try this over the next couple of weeks, try everything, and then we're going to bring everyone back. Scott's been very gracious to say that he's going to come back with us and just kind of go over everything again and see what people think about the tools once they've had a chance to use them. So I think that's going to be really helpful once people are actually using the tools to really come back and say, okay, we're having trouble with this. We don't understand this. And then especially once everyone gets access to the things that not everyone has access to, like the layout. So no, but
I know for me, I had been sticking with voiceovers because I can do those so easily. So I've been doing voiceovers for months now because I'm like, that's all I can do is a damn voiceover.
We do what we can. I mean, this has been absolutely amazing. I mean, I was on yesterday and I still learned stuff today. And hopefully tomorrow I'll get this online thing because my brain just checks out at that point. But I will be back again tomorrow to focus on that part. So thank you so much, Scott. You have given again an hour and a half of your time today. So we're gonna let you go.
Oh my God, this is the best part of my day, to be clear.
Oh my God.
It's hands down the most fun part. So thank you all.
Thank you
I'm gonna blow you away, Scott. Watch when I create my next. I got one for that. I'm gonna try to work on the one that we talked about.
Good.
I'm gonna impress you. I am gonna do my work. I'm gonna impress you and MJ because I only do voiceovers. So she's gonna be so proud of me. She's gonna be like, she's been bugging me to stop doing them damn voiceovers.
And just a reminder, everyone, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to tag Black Travel Alliance, tag Meta, tag Scott, please. Scott, what's your handle on Instagram? I know Tamika tagged you earlier.
It's just at Scott Dre.
Okay, at Scott Dre. Please tag
Special
us.
plugs for Notes by Dre too, which is another handle where I do weird food drawings for my kids. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Notes by Dre. That's where I want the followers. Let's go there. Notes by Dre.
What's that? What's that one? What's the other one?
I just my name at Scott Dre.
No, the one that when you do the weird
Notes by Dre. Notes by Dre.
Oh, let me find that real quick.
Lunch
Hold
notes.
on a second.
They're lunch notes.
There you go. I got it. Yep. Oh wow. Oh my God.
Oh, this is so cute.
You did this?
Yeah. I like to draw, y'all.
Let me put that here.
Oh wow. I am like, oh wow.
Very,
oh my gosh.
very
You're
cool.
making me blush.
So, yes.
It's so sweet. Yeah.
Follow Scott there. So yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you guys.
Yes. I'll see you tomorrow, Scott.
All right. See y'all tomorrow.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, thank you.